Good morning, fellow Plexers. This is going to be a quick Musicbrainz Picard video, and today we're going to talk about album types like singles or EPs. Now, Plex can display things properly if you have the right metadata, and the metadata can come from online sources or be embedded locally in your music files. So I'm in my music library and I'm going to sort it by albums. And then I'm going to go into the format. I was already there, but choose format, and I can choose single, and these are all the identified singles on my Plex music server. And if I change it to EP, which is an extended play group of singles, these are what's identified by Plex. Now, when I first set up my Plex server in 2019, I had a long-standing MP3 music collection going back 25 years, some of it, and I created a Plex music library, and it was awful. Nothing scanned in right. It was just horrible. So about a year into Plex, once I got my feet really wet, I discovered Musicbrainz Picard, and I painstakingly took like 4 or 5 months and went through all my music, moving it through Musicbrainz Picard manually, fixing it, and then moving it into a new folder, and only that folder got scanned by my new Plex music library, and eventually everything got corrected. But again, it's a painstaking process, which is a labor of love, and you'll have to decide if you want to do that. But if you have singles and EPs that aren't matching up right in Plex, along with just music in general, this is how you'll solve it. So I searched, just like I showed you, for a couple singles and a couple EPs. This is a true single with only one song in it. And this is, again, one song. Some albums listed as singles have multiple songs in it on my Plex server. I don't care that much to know why, as long as they match up correctly. And here's a couple of EP with multiple songs in them. So 3 of these are already scanned properly with Musicbrainz Picard, and 2 are not. So let me start that up. And I normally use Elementary OS, but I'm having issues with screen recording software. My default vocal screen NG that I like allows me to pause a video and continue it, and it's just crashing under Elementary OS 7.1. So I'm using a Fedora Budgie spin. It's an immutable spin, testing it out on another hard drive, and I'm going to do some of my recording on this setup. So I just opened up Musicbrainz Picard. I'm going to back up and drag the whole folder in. And if music has been run through Musicbrainz Picard or already has perfect metadata, it's going to scan in and appear on the right pane with a gold CD. And this one, the top and the bottom one have a little red star that say album modified and complete, and the middle one doesn't. I don't know what that's about. So I have 4 unclustered songs, so anything that doesn't match up on this pane, you hit cluster, and it'll just cluster to the folder it's in. So this is Ariana Grande, Christmas Kissing, 4 songs, and if I expand that, I can look down and see the metadata that I already have. And if you click on the album, it'll show you the shared metadata. So like right here, it doesn't show the title, but it shows the album. If I click on an individual song, that pops up. Well, if I click over here, let's make this full screen, to this album, if I slide down, in the metadata there'll be release type. And this is where it says EP and remix. So I could manually add that by right-clicking and add a tag, or I can just see if there's a match to this in the database that Musicbrainz Picard connects to. So I'm just going to double click that so I can copy it, paste it in, and we'll search and we'll see what happens. Let's make this bigger. So there's two options, one with 4 songs and one with 5 songs. So we could just pick that manually, but before we do that, I'm going to see if Musicbrainz Picard can find this automatically just by hitting the scan button. And it looks like it did. So if we look at it overall, these are all the common new metadata points that Musicbrainz Picard can save to. And someplace we have the release type is now listed as EP. Let's make this full screen and let's expand the album. And now if we go into any individual song, you'll see that there's so much more metadata than what the original file contained. And it's as simple as just hitting save, and now that metadata is all locked into those files. So Musicbrainz Picard is the best thing for a Plex music library, and it can solve issues where singles and EPs are not showing up correctly. Most likely your single by your artist will be in the database, and if not, you can kind of figure out how to add the metadata yourself. I can muck up this metadata as well as I can fix it. Let's go down to release type, and I can edit it here and type mumbo jumbo and hit save, and that's going to just screw the metadata up. But again, you can put the correct metadata in if you find something that's not in the database. So then it's just a process of copying the media to your music library and rescanning. Now if you've got to go through everything, I would suggest doing what I did in the past and create a new music library and only put in fixed albums. Do one artist at a time, spend an hour on a weekend each weekend, spend 2 hours on a weekend, and pretty soon you'll be done before you know it. So let's bring Plex in here for a second. Let's get rid of this sort. I think my library is set up with default settings because not everything is in the database. So I want Plex to use the database connection when it can, and if not, rely on my local metadata. So in case I made changes and forgot about it, I do not have prefer local metadata clicked. And my album art comes from both Plex Music, which is the online connection, the scanner, and local files. So this way, if I have a truly compilation type of album, one that I put together myself that's not in any database, I can add my own metadata. I can add my own poster, my own album cover that I've created myself. If I associate a few key pieces like the album name, if every track has the song title and artist title, I can give it its own album name. I can inject metadata into it for the poster, and when I save it in Musicbrainz Picard, that it will scan in as its own unlisted compilation album. And I have a video for that. So Musicbrainz Picard solves everything, including EP and singles not showing up properly, because chances are it might have been grabbed from something else and tagged wrong, even though it's the exact same song. So, thanks for watching, and Merry Plexus Christmas.